Hey everybody, my name is Brendan Noble and I'm a young adult author. Welcome back to my Slavic Saturday series where we talk about Slavic history, mythology, and folklore. This week on Slavic Saturday, we're talking about Jawia, Prawia, and Nawia, the three realms in Slavic myth that kind of make up the underworld, the realm of the gods, and the realm of the living. Now, before some people, like the 20 other people that research Slavic mythology, there's a little bit of controversy around this subject. There's multiple theories around what the Slavs actually believed in the afterlife because there's not many primary sources. So there might be some Rodnavery, which is modern paganism, that has impacted some of these stories. Regardless, it's fun to look at different theories about this, and I might talk about some of the other ones later. But before I can get into the realms specifically, let's talk about the world tree in Slavic myth. Like Yggdrasil in Norse mythology, the Slavs do have a world tree that impacts the different realms. And in Slavic myth, it is an oak tree, which is a very usually spiritual and reference powerful tree in Slavic myth. So at the roots of the tree is Nawia or Nav, which is the realm of the underworld, and Velis, who's also the god of the underworld. You have Jawia or Yav, which is the realm of the living and the realm that we would kind of know as Earth. And then you have at the branch, and that's the trunk of the tree, and then the branches, you have the realm called Prawia, or Prav, which is the realm of Perun, as kind of an eagle-like figure, which is the realm of the gods. Now, it's important to note before I go into talking about Nawia is the fact that Slavs didn't have a heaven or hell until Christian beliefs came along. These three realms, the realms are not earth, heaven, and hell. They're completely separate. Nawia is the only afterlife considered world. And that's because anyone who lived a not absolutely terrible life and didn't die an unnatural death went to Nawia. Those that did die an unnatural death or had tormented people in life could become a demon and be stuck on Jawia. But we'll get more into that later. So it's thought in Slavic myth that when they died, people would travel, their souls would travel the world for 40 days, and they would visit the places that they did in life, and they would torment those who tormented them in life. And often they would do this in the form of a bird or another animal. And it was thought that during these 40 days, if a traveler came upon this soul and helped them along their way, the soul would be friendly towards them as well. And there are many stories and folk tales about that. But after this 40 days, the soul would go through rivers and which were considered part of Velis's realm, and would go towards the river that's called the Smorodina River, or the Stinking River, that is considered on fire in Slavic myth. It's kind of the equivalent of the river Styx with a whole different twist on it. Over it is the Kalam Aag Bridge, and guarding this bridge is a Zmai or Zmij, which is a Slavic dragon that can be a shapeshifter. There's a lot of different stories about different dragons that could be impacted on this bridge. Some are friendly, some are not. And there's not exactly one pure story of why the dragon's there. Some think it's to probably keep demons out. Some think it's to keep the living people out. Some might be it's just a trial that someone has to pass to reach the underworld. But regardless, this dragon is there. And then also sometimes in the stories, Marzana, the goddess of death and winter, also has her mirrored palace on the other side of the Kalam Aag Bridge, as well as kind of the connection between the living and the dead realms. But once the souls managed to cross this bridge and enter Nawia, the trials were considered over. Nawia itself was considered either a paradise or as close to a paradise as one could get. It's a sea of rolling plains, which is great for the agricultural-based Slavs. At the heart of it is a swampland that was guarded by Velis, who oversaw the underworld and helped direct the souls. He sat among the roots of the world tree itself, and then he would allow souls to return to Jawia a couple times a year as certain types of birds during the winter and summer periods. So Jawia is the realm of the living, or the trunk of the world tree. And this one is fairly self-explanatory. It's the world as the Slavs saw it. And that could be both positive and negative because of the kind of difficult terrain the Slavs lived in. It was often very cold, death was very common, and there were people everywhere that tried to kill each other with different tribes. So this was considered sometimes good elements and bad elements, and that's likely why the gods in Slavic myth often have good and bad elements to them, even if they're considered a positive god. And here as well, the gods were kind of considered often as distant giants, ruling from the distance, not impacting people's lives often directly. They were still prayed to, and there were still rituals for them. And there are still many stories as well of the gods directly impacting Slavs' lives, but it was often more indirect than people thought, for example, the Greek gods were. And this is kind of interesting as well, because that's why potentially there was this separate realm considered the Prawia, because the gods were considered often so far away. And lastly, Jawia could also be considered a dangerous place to live because demons are still there. There are many spirits in the woods, as well as witches and other types of dangerous creatures. The realm of the Slavs was often very densely forested, or there was sometimes distant seas depending on which country you were looking at. And so these places were be areas that were considered that either gods lived or dangerous creatures can live, and sometimes both. So venturing into these spaces leads to many stories where you don't know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Now, thirdly, Prawia is the realm of the gods. While Jawia and Nawia can be kind of considered realms of chaos because of so many different forces working within them, Prawia is often considered the realm of order because of this. And this kind of goes with Perun's role as the god of justice, where he is kind of overseeing the rest of the world tree as this eagle sitting among its branches and looking down on the rest of it, trying to maintain order. And this has to do also with the fight between Perun and Velis over the three realms as well. Not much is really known about Prawia besides the fact it's the realm of the gods, and the fact that not even all the gods technically dwell there. There's different gods that dwell in different locations, so there's some questions there. Sometimes it's considered just an abstract location of the idea of the order out of this chaos from the other realms. Who knows? But again, it's important to emphasize this is not the good place and then the bad place is Nawia. This is a realm of the gods. There are some stories in which a very pure and heroic individual could be welcomed to Prawia among the gods, but it's not considered a large trait of the place. And because of Pravia's already shaky existence in terms of ancient Slavic belief, I wouldn't go that far to claim that it's like considered a heaven, because Nawia itself is already considered very much like a paradise instead of like the Greek idea where the underworld is terrible. And that's all I have for you guys today on this Slavic Saturday series with Prawia, Jawia, and Nawia. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more on Slavic mythology, folklore, and history, remember to hit like and subscribe down below. I'll be coming out with these videos every Saturday, as well as I'm writing a Slavic fantasy series related to Slavic mythology, and if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter down below. It's only sent out once a month, but I talk about some of the things of the book series, as well as how they relate to mythology. So I hope you guys all have a great week. I'll talk to you all next Saturday.